For the next panel, we're going to be talking about interoperable QR codes in Singapore and beyond. We've got quite used to paying for things with QR codes. It's very convenient. But then, of course, you go overseas and it's a little bit harder. So hopefully we can get some solutions here. We will be led by the moderator, Joe, who is Payments Director and Digital Connectivity Office with the MAS, Payments Development. Joe, over to you, please.
Well, thank you so much, Ned, and it's good to see a fantastic crowd here. Day 3 of the SFF, and someone was saying to me, wow, it's day 3, but it feels like day 1. The energy, the crowd, thank you all for being here. So, I have with me 4 very good friends from the industry. We're here to talk about SGQR Plus. So you're familiar with SGQR, but now we're experimenting with an interoperable layer, SGQR Plus. We'll share more about what benefits SGQR Plus has to bring to you, users, merchants, financial institutions. So with me, I'm very pleased to have Lawrence Chan, Group CEO, Nets, Jeremy Tan, CEO, Liquid Group, Cherry Huang, General Manager of Alipay Plus, Offline Merchant Services at the N Group, who has a fan base here. And we also have Bhavna Monga, partner at EY. EY's booth is not too far away, so I'm sure your fan base is here as well to support you. Fantastic. Okay, now we're all hopefully quite familiar with SGQR, but just in case, for foreign visitors here, of which we'll have a lot, I'm just showing you a picture of SGQR. I'm quite sure you have seen this all around Singapore, at merchant shop fronts. SGQR consolidates many QR codes into one QR label. It's good for consumers because they only have to recognize one payment QR code in order to make that payment, because you just want to make your payments quickly, get your noodles quickly, eat your noodles quickly, right? So just look out for the SGQR label, make your payment. And for merchants, it's also safe because they only have to protect one QR label, and this prevents mischief such as label replacement. It's a good tool, good, effective, simple tool, very physical tool to protect against fraud as well as scams and mischief like that. But SGQR as it is at the moment, the baseline SGQR, it doesn't provide for interoperability. Merchants who wish to accept many payment schemes, this is just a few, but I think you will see merchants who are very enterprising and they have many, many schemes that they will accept because that widens their user pool, that widens their customer base. Did you know that they will have to sign up almost as many merchant relationships in order to accept that many number of payment schemes? So that's something that we have seen as a problem statement, is something we really wanted to address. And Bhavna is the lead at EY, that co-designed this SGQR Plus concept with us. I was just wondering, what are your key observations on international trends, on QR payments to merchants? And, what are we trying to achieve with SGQR Plus here? Over to you, Bhavna.
Thanks, Joe. It's been a great honor designing the solution with MAS, with Liquid, Nets, and the team. Let me start with establishing that QR payments have become extremely important not only from a domestic perspective for small and micro businesses, but even for the cross-border, where a lot of transactions are in the cash basis. So QR is going to be a payment method which could replace cash if you look at just as simple as tourism as a use case. With that in mind, we have seen a lot of countries waking up to the transformative power of interoperable QR payments globally. We have seen examples of interoperable solutions coming in markets like Brazil, Mexico, and European countries. And if I look at closer to home, all the countries surrounding Singapore now have some sort of an interoperable solution, which is around Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, all of them having it. And which, having said that, even though the benefits are very clear, everybody is in a different stage of development. But we have an example in India which has really unlocked digital payments at the back of interoperability. So we are already seeing leapfrog growth in terms of what can be done with interoperable QR payments globally. If I come back to Singapore, as you said, Joe, SGQR already was a repository of all the labels in Singapore, was providing a very solid foundation to jumpstart the interoperable solution in Singapore. And that's what we designed under the name of SGQR Plus. Having said that, the SGQR as is in the format today had certain limitations, as you highlighted, that it was a repository of QR labels of closed loop payments, which meant merchants had to have multiple acquiring relationships with multiple acquirers, which is not necessarily convenient. At the same time, from a customer perspective, we could not use our own preferred app at any merchant. So that was also a gap in the market, and hence we designed SGQR Plus as a solution. And under that, what we are trying to achieve is precisely to address those gaps. Under SGQR Plus, there will be one primary relationship for the merchant, which it's their choice. We have also designed as an option that SGQR and SGQR Plus will coexist, which means even more options for the merchant, which is always good. But what it will, at the heart of it, will do is provide the merchant seamless transaction, reconciliation, and settlement by having one primary acquiring relationship. And that's very important from a settlement perspective. So that's I think it's easy to understand. Apart from that, it also increases the customer base, which means more business for the merchant, and I'm sure they would like that. From a customer standpoint, it provides convenience. Of course, we can use any app from a merchant perspective, whoever is subscribed to the SGQR Plus. So that's been at the heart of this as a solution. And I know the team has been working tirelessly in launching the POC for last couple of months. And the objective of that POC, which is running in SFF right now, and also Changi District 16 and 17 with more than 1,000 merchants, is to really demonstrate and showcase a live payment for the merchant, receiving payment live, real time, to any payment app. And this is very transformative from a QR perspective, definitely.
Yeah, thank you, Bhavna. I thought that was a really good introduction to why we're doing SGQR Plus, what benefits SGQR Plus would bring, and yes, they are all live transactions, and you can experience them for yourself within the expo. You can also experience them at the Liquid booth. You can experience it at the Nets booth, but also throughout Changi, throughout districts 16 and 17, because there are over 1,000 merchants who are enabled here. And you know, it always heartens, impresses me when there's a standing crowd. I just wanted to let you know that your time here is worth it, okay? Because by the end of this panel, there is a giveaway, okay? It's, yes, we'll have a lucky draw, but there is also a giveaway. And the giveaway location is not too far away. So hang in there. I know it's day 3. Really appreciate you being here. And for now, I'd like to move to Lawrence, who will be doing the lucky draw later. But Lawrence, you know, today we had a great showing at your booth, at the Nets booth, with DPM himself coming to try out SGQR Plus, you know, where we showcased various aspects of SGQR, the interoperable nature of SGQR, also the read aloud function that the Nets terminal has, which is very useful for merchants. So Nets has had a very long history of serving, I think, a vast majority of merchants in Singapore. So from your perspective, given this long history, what are the things that your merchants are looking out for most in payments to merchants, in QR payments, Lawrence?
Thanks, Joe, and thanks to all for making time to be here. Special thanks for those who are standing. I know it's day 3 and it can be tiring, so thank you. For our merchants, we have a purpose statement in Nets, which is connecting communities, empowering lives. And this project of SGQR Plus really helps us achieve, or take a step closer towards achieving that purpose. Their purpose in terms of our merchant, how we can really help them to sell more conveniently, make it easier for them to connect communities, for them to connect payments, and then to empower themselves to do even more business. Right? So we have actually, before SGQR Plus, had really the privilege of being able to provide this service in our hawker centres. So today when you go to our hawker centres, when you scan a QR, we have really the privilege to be able to accept more than 15 payment options today in the hawker centres. And now that we are testing with SGQR Plus in District 16, 17, inside here at the SFF, we have more than 21 payment options that a merchant can accept, whether in the form of wallets, whether in the form of bank apps. And that really makes it very convenient for our merchant, because almost any survey anywhere in the world that you take with a merchant, what is the one thing a merchant wants? And that is simplicity. Right? They want to deal with one payment provider that can provide as many payment options as possible. For us in payments, we're always thinking of payments every day, almost every second. But for a merchant, they want to close the sale. Closing the sale means they want to give as many options to the customer as possible so that they can close the sale. Especially in a space in a fast retail space like F&B, where speed at the point of sale is important. They want just to close the sale. They do not want much hassle, so that they can serve the next customer and then the next customer. So with what we have done with SGQR Plus, it really helps our merchants to be able to serve as many customers domestically and inbound. Right? We have the privilege of even servicing not just from China, but across the whole Alipay Plus network as well. So it really gives us that opportunity, and not many times we can really say this, we can help bring customers to you, Mr. Merchant. Right? With the inbound plus the domestic customers, we can really bring more feet to your store and close the sale.
Yeah, indeed. I think that SGQR Plus it should be emphasized that it's not just domestic interoperability, but it brings about international interoperability. And on this part, I thought I'd turn back to Bhavna to share your views on how this really compares with what's available internationally, and what sort of benefits it would bring by closing the world in, removing borders in cross-border payments, especially for payments to merchants.
Thanks, Joe. And I think, as I mentioned, right, from a cross-border perspective, especially if we just look at cross-border as a much more bigger use cases, right? Just purely tourism, if we look at, right, 50% of that in ASEAN alone is cash transactions. And to really take out cash out of that, QR is going to play a significant role, largely because it's far more cheaper than cards. A lot of people don't have cards as well, right? And that's the role QR has to play. And considering in ASEAN, Singapore plays a hub, reducing that barrier for the tourism, for both inbound and outbound, is going to be fundamental. And I do see SGQR as a solution, SGQR Plus as a solution, evolving and really addressing that gap. In the market, from Singapore alone perspective, I see a lot of schemes are already doing it at individual level, trying to unlock that. SGQR Plus, with time, is going to now bring it all closer together and going to be the solution and the face for that, and that's going to be very exciting. If you go to a country like India, which started with UPI and locally really grew that, and then for them as well, the next phase was about cross-border. With all the tourism and the traveling done from the Indians to outside the countries, they are using that as an interface. And I think that has really evolved how the digital payments work. That's one. Second, there are so many business models evolving around just that. So both the issuers, acquirers, participants who are going to be part of this are going to have solutions that they can build which will unlock new revenue models for themselves as well at the back of remittance and cross-border. So it's going to be really, really exciting.
Indeed. I think the magic about payments is that it really should be seamless. It really should not be something that we all have to think too hard about. I mean, merchants do what merchants do best, which is to develop their business, grow their business lines. They really shouldn't have to spend too much time worrying about payments. And I think for this, I'll turn to Cherry, because Ant has a very vibrant e-wallet ecosystem and a very strong user base. I mean, and Ant is constantly expanding its network, and as I believe you have done so also at this SFF, with new networks being added on. So I just wanted to ask, why Ant decided to participate in this POC? I mean, from a more fundamental perspective, I would have thought that if you have a very strong user base, if your network in itself is already very expensive and very expansive, very powerful, why would you want to share your network? Why would you want to share your hard-earned user base, Cherry?
Thank you, Joe. I think first of all, we love Plus, of course. So SG Plus. Well, I think one of the very important things is when you talk about Alipay Plus, our objective is really to make travel simple for the travelers, go anywhere. I want to tell a little story. Back to 2016, near this time, I was standing at the Yuhua Guohuo, so the Chinatown department store. I'm standing there. I'm trying to tell everybody what is QR code by that. So it's very hard. So after those years with all the efforts, also the SGQR introductions, I think more and more merchants accept it. But however, as a cross-border player like us, we're facing the challenges. Many SMEs, particularly those off the beaten track, they're not in the tourist areas, still very hard for them to understand what's QR and to accept the QR code. And the interesting part is the post-pandemic, what we see the travelers, they change their mind. First thing, they want to be authentic. They want to go to where local goes. So yesterday, a group of my colleagues, they went to the hawker center. They said it was such nice food down there. So that's the thing is that, so thanks Net enabled all this for us. So made Alipay Plus acceptable for this. So these are the things. Another thing is that the young people, and we found more and more travelers post-pandemic, they are a lot of young generations. They not only want a local experience, they want to take a public transportation because they are more conscious of the green. So that's the things that we're hoping the SGQR Plus can help us also not only cover the merchants, but also the transportations. So make the public transportations available for all the travelers as well. So these are the things. So when we look at all these things, we feel this is something we must participate. It's not about how big we are, it's how convenient we can really serving the tourists. So I couldn't agree more. One of the things is that there's more business model than just payment. If you look at it, not only the tourists, they enjoy wherever they go, they make it easy to pay smartly with their e-home wallet. With the app, what's the e-wallet difference with wallet is the app. So with the app, merchants actually can create a digital store fairly straightforward. So they can sell in their product, marketing their product on this platform straightforward, rather than in the past has to wait for the customer to come to their door and make sure the customer to understand their noodles is better. So these are the things that make it easy. Even Plus, I think there are more business opportunity around there. A lot of tech vendors can develop upon that more solutions. Scan order pay, for example, Shopify like online stores distributions. So I think that's where the SGQR Plus, from owning the payment basis to all the way to digital economy. So we need to be part of it. So that's why absolutely we're here and we want to be part of it.
You're really happy to hear that coming from the Ant Group. And since we have referenced you, Lawrence, and thank you for opening up the hawker centers for Ant users to also experience the delight of hawker foods. Just wondering, how is the Net's relationship with a partner like Alipay Plus? How does that work out for the Nets Group?
So we are very privileged to have this relationship with the Ant Group. It's a relationship where we don't take for granted, because we know what happened during COVID when there are no cross-border travelers, and now when borders have opened, we are really seeing the benefit of this relationship. So thank you for the relationship that we've had through this time. From a Net's point of view, we are a scheme and an acquirer. Right? We have the Net scheme where we acquire for the Net scheme, and we also acquire for other partners. And this is one good example, if I may say, for SGQR Plus, where we really have the privilege, the opportunity to acquire for other partners for the benefit of our merchant. Right? For the benefit of a merchant who really wants to simplify their payments, who really wants to close the sale as quickly as possible, and with more and more partners that we have, like Ant, we can then fulfill this. In addition to Ant, of course, we also have the privilege of the cross-border opportunities, the bilateral opportunities we have with PromptPay when they come into Singapore for ITMX, wallets or bank apps, or even for Malaysia. So cross-border plus domestic is really our opportunity to serve our merchants even better.
Yeah, I think I really like what you said about cross-border payments and really the real purpose of why we do this. I think this is also emphasized by MD Ravi in his speech, that we do things for a larger purpose. Why do we push out products, innovation? It is to really improve lives. It's to really change the way that we can make payments more seamless, safer, and also simple. And on this track, I really want to bring in Jeremy here because, SGQR Plus is not a one-track experiment. It's actually a two-track experiment. We have the experiment that's conducted by the Nets Group. That's the one which is a master merchant acquirer model. Okay, don't worry, if you feel that these terms are getting a little bit long, there's always a white paper that you can go back to, and read on your commute home from here. But I really also wanted to bring in Jeremy, who has been waiting patiently here, on the liquid track, which is a switch. So that's quite fascinating, right? How does this switch model actually work, Jeremy? And does it work independently of the other tracks? Does it all fuse together? Jeremy, wait to hear from you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for your time. Okay, before I start on the switch, if I could sort of take us through the journey of how we got here very quickly and why we do. So, I mean, it's nice words we talk about Interoperable QR, Singapore connectivity, and it seems like a lot of effort. There's a lot of us putting effort together. Why we do this, and this is something that I thought I would not just frame it and then I'll say what I do, because then it all makes sense. We're all going to need this before we know. Yeah? We've been traveling. Some of us have been to China. You realize if you don't have a local app, you're in trouble. And it's starting to happen in multiple countries across Asia. I know all of us were stuck in COVID for a while, but now if you walk around India, a few years ago, you were good with cash and rupee, demonetization happened, and now, imagine in 3 years' time. You look across ASEAN, and for Singaporean-based people, when's the last time you went to your ATM? All these subtle changes has happened. And if we don't interoperate, we're going to run into a lot of issues in 2024, 2025, 2026. And that's why interoperability in Singapore and beyond matters. So, kudos to MES and kudos to all the regulators around the region. We're all trying to get ahead of time, because else a lot of people are going to complain in the years to come. Because when we travel, we need to be able to pay. Cash and coins are changing. How we pay is changing. So to make sure it's safe, convenient, useful, and that's what we all spend the last 20 minutes talking about. We'll make it useful, we'll make it interoperable, and we'll connect. So from a consumer perspective, all you want to do is when you go out, you scan, you can pay with something that you have, whether it's your wallet, whether it's your card, which is the segue to what I'm doing as a switch now.
Yeah, so Jeremy, before you go to where the switch is, I just wanted to respond to what you've been saying about e-payments really booming. And because I've been trying to get a platform to showcase the data work that my team has been doing, churned out the data because we're in the business of over-preparing, right? So we actually churned out the data for e-payments versus cash withdrawals, and my team lead is here so I can double-check with him the figures. Terence is on the spot. But from 2016 to 2022-23, we have actually calculated the total sum of e-payments in the form of Fast, Pay Now, as well as card transactions, right? Have I left out anything? No, that's the one, right? Great. Okay. Versus ATM cash withdrawals from 2016 to now. Do you know how much it's increased in Singapore? Threefold, right? Threefold. And that's kudos to the work that our e-payments industry really has been doing and your mention of ATMs. But I hand the airtime back to you to talk about the switch.
Thank you, Joe. So because the reason why I mentioned this, and that's why we do what we do, because it's a lot of work. And is here, we have EMY do a whole entire study, Nets, us, there's a lot of industry players because we're going cashless. Finally, with QR, we're going cashless. And to have interoperability means we want to have seamless experiences. So what we do at Liquid, we run a switch. It sounds like a very big word, but essentially what it means is many to many. As many wallets as you want to connect to as many acquirers as you want. It's a very interesting word. What's an acquirer? Acquirer is a guy that signs up the merchant. That's a financial institution. So Nets is a very well-established Singapore master network and scheme. What we try to do is for the smaller players as well, we aggregate as many financial institutions to sign up merchants, not just in Singapore, but around the region as well. So this, in a way, as a community building, as a switch, it's a community that we build, that they will bring in as many of their merchants following the same kind of standards and protocols, so that as many places will accept QR payments as possible. And of course, you need the users, you need the apps. All the conversations were happening, we're talking about national switches and wallets and stuff. If you realize something about our Liquid track, we're subtly making hints to it, and you will see it if you actually try the SGQR Plus track. We've brought in the credit cards. So basically, credit cards, you can add your credit cards into a Snap app, Tap to Pay app, with partner apps, where basically you can scan your QR and you pay by credit cards. This unlocks a few billion users. Everyone who's got a Visa and Master can now use paying QR. And why we put all these together and why is this important is, and this is a plug that I'll make for all of us here. Yeah? QR is not QR. The technology is not in QR. It's not at all. QR is just a sticker with spots. The technology is in the camera. QR is effectively optical technology, optical payments. You use the camera, you transact, and you capture data. The data can be 1 inch away, it can be 5 miles away. The amount of data, whether you're on 2 megapixels, 4 megapixels, 16, 32 megapixels, this is the amount of data you can capture in a payment transaction. You can capture the payment details, the receipt, your location, what you bought, when you bought it, how the weather that you are when you bought it. It opens up a whole new range of digital payments. And that is a framework that we will want to build on, or we want to build on top. What we have today is just very basic infrastructure level. We connect everybody together, multiple apps to multiple acquirers for a seamless experience. But this is just the beginning of a journey that we hope you all join us, because we believe, as how Sherry has mentioned, when she mentioned Ali, and this is a massive example that we say, there's so many things you can do in an app. An app, the digital payment of an app will beat a card. A card is a small plastic that was invented 30 years ago, and you tap it, great, we love it. But now you're talking about a phone. The computing power of the phone, the amount of programs you can run, the loyalty programs, as Sherry has mentioned, the mini programs that you can do on individual apps will be unlocked when we connect everybody together. So I love the future. The digital payment evolution will be a massive, massive change of how we pay, or more importantly, why we pay. Payment is not something that we wake up every morning and say, I'm going to pay for something. Yeah? You want to buy something, why you want to buy it becomes a major reason, and the payment apps and the digital infrastructure that we hopefully put together as a switch to support the multiple messages that you can send, the multiple campaigns that you can send, that will be the next generation of digital payments, and we hope to play a meaningful role to that. Thank you.
Yeah, Jeremy, when you were saying that you have unlocked cards with your app, even I was kind of skeptical. I was like, what does he mean by that? But because we were so busy with so many product launches, and later on, we're going to launch 2 very exciting linkages. making a plug for that, I know. Very exciting linkages all the way in Hall 2, at the inside stage. Join us for that as well after you collected your goodie bag, please. Right? But, when Jeremy said that I have unlocked cards for you, I was like, what does he mean by that? This is a QR. How do you get the card into the QR? So day one of SFF, I went to the Liquid booth and very shamefaced, I wanted to get a coffee, but I didn't have the Snap app then. I was like, I better quickly download it before Jeremy realizes I don't have the Snap app. Then there I was thinking, I need time to also onboard myself as a customer. What am I going to do? Jeremy's going to find out I don't have his app, yeah? That doesn't look very good. But guys, it took me, no exaggeration, it took me 15 seconds, downloaded the app, and immediately I was able to pay with Apple Pay already linked to what I had. So I had my Mocha. It took longer to make the Mocha than it did to actually download the app and pay. So that's a testament to the work that Liquid Group has been doing. And on this, I wanted to turn back to Cherry and ask her, what has been your experience as a super app, working with a switch like Liquid Group?
Well, first of all, I want to thank for Jeremy. Many years we already been partnered together. I think one of the things is Liquid with actually multiple roles. One of the role is acquirer, and my loved Zhang Airport, Jewel, so they have been supporting all our Alipay and Alipay Plus supported wallet for that. I think for the switch part, it's something we are going to explore more. We haven't really go very deep for that matters. I think there are many different reasons, because one of the things is payment is really for us is the first step. China has been introduced QR payment 10 years ago, decade ago, so that's why made it good, but also made it bad. Good is everybody is really cashless, made it easy, but for the travelers make it difficult. And then that's why we actually spend a lot of time to trying to make sure that this year for Asian Game we have 10 wallets actually able to enter into the China pay with their own home e-wallet, which including OCBC and Zhang Pay. Yeah, so this is make it very convenient. And many people actually today during the SFF ask me how they download Alipay bonding with their card, so credit card, so they can pay in China as well. So this is another very important things we're doing. Why I come back to Singapore, and we have now already enabled 8 wallets, different from across the Asia, to be able to pay down here. I think these are just a very, very early starting point. I think with the introduction of the SGQR Plus, I think with the 2 different tracks, so we were trying to explore more how we can work more closely together through the switch.
So if I could jump in, I mentioned community, and Cherry, thank you so much for this one. And you will realize that even between Liquid and Ali, we had so many different partnership pairs. So like you said, in Hangzhou, we actually work with them to go to China. So in different markets, we adopt different roles. In certain roles, we support as an acquirer, as a founder, we access as an issuer, and then even as network partnership, there are different multiple tiers of collaboration. But I thought that would be an interesting point just to highlight this, because it applies to the whole ecosystem, because it builds resilience, because a lot of us are connected to one another, and a lot of us payment guys, we co-compete in a way, right? So we sign up the same merchant, but if you sign up the merchant, I'm accepted as well. But if I sign up the merchant, you're accepted as well. So in a funny way, it's a nice communal ecosystem, and interoperability enables us to help and compete with one another all at the same time. I think that's where I think it's healthy as we build up this digital infrastructure for the region, actually.
Yeah, I want to add at this point, I think, again, infrastructure made it very easy for everyone, not only travelers, but domestically. Because of this, we can do more business models, not necessarily have to compete on the payment part. That's also why, at that time, just as you said, we already have a very large, because I joined at that time, we really one by one acquired all of the merchants. However, we still feel that this should be part of SGQR Plus, because again, infrastructure, if you have all the road, make it possible, accessible, So we all made it easy for us to work, right? And then there are so many business models available on the e-wallet side. So we don't have to really only focus on where is the payment is. That's where the starting point is. Yeah.
Thank you. So, Lawrence, I'm going to ask you to close, and then we'll go down the line with whatever you wanted to add to this conversation, as well as maybe your own takeaway on, or your own crystal ball gazing on, if this SGQR Plus POC succeeds, where do you think we will be in 5 years' time, and any more personal aspirations in terms of where you hope for us in payments?
Thanks, Joe, and really thanks for this opportunity to be part of this proof of concept. Right? It's if I may end by the way I started. Right? In Nets Group, we have our purpose statement of connecting communities, empowering lives. And if I can link it back to what MD Rowley was saying in terms of really trying to make people's lives better, what in the opening speech by President Taman, how the SFF can really try to do good. I think that's really is our motivation. Our motivation of making lives, especially for our merchants, and of course our buyers, our consumers, better. And with SGQR Plus, the main benefit, just now I mentioned that if you do any survey anywhere in the world, the main thing a merchant wants is simplicity. One payment company doing almost everything for him or her. I think another data point, if you look at recently the Singapore Business Federation, when they did a survey with merchants, the thing that merchants really want there from that survey is grow revenue. And growing revenue, a very basic, grow revenue, reduce costs. Right? So growing revenue means closing a sale. Right? So yes, we speak a lot about technology, which is important. But more importantly, how can this technology help our merchants? How can this technology really bring scale of buyers to our merchants? And that's really what we're really trying to focus on. How can we make it real with the technology we know, the technology we practice, make it real so that we can really benefit our merchants?
Thank you, Lawrence. And Jeremy, then Cherry, and then finally Bhavna. 30 seconds on your crystal ball gazing and personal aspirations.
Okay, so very quickly. So Lawrence mentioned a lot of merchants, so I agree. I'm going to do a mirror. I'm going to talk about consumers. And the way I talk about consumers is what does it mean for an average consumer? And we all know how interoperability make it more convenient. And I'm just going to emphasize the point that I just made on digital payments and how QR is an optical payments. Be prepared to be surprised. Be prepared to see how new retail payments will change. Because the infrastructure is now unlocked. Digital payments are not electronic payments. It's a difference. And in that sense, as merchants focus on what they need and what we conserve for the merchants, consumers will be stepping into a world we're halfway through a journey of digitalization of our payments. And when you pay, the amount of things you can do while paying BNPL, you can burn your loyalty points, you can apply for a loan if you want. Everything can be done when you pay. So the whole entire framework is open. So we would just say this. We are halfway through an amazing journey. Enjoy it. QR will be the interoperability that we all talk about. 2 years, 5 years later, we'll look back. This conversation becomes smooth because it becomes ubiquitous. And the one thing we will say, we believe QR, electronic payment, digital payments will beat contactless payments. So let's see that's a forward-casting. We tap today because we think that's the easiest to do, but I would actually quite hopeful that actually very soon we'll scan because that's going to be even more powerful. And that's what I'll say.
Fantastic. Cherry.
Thank you. I was talking about 7 years ago when I stand in the department store. So 5 years later, I'm seeing tourists will definitely travel off the beaten track, travel like local, hop on the bus, take the MRT, go anywhere they want to, try the hawker center food, the really authentic experiences. The most important, since you guys talk about the consumer, talk about merchant, I want to talk about the ecosystem. I think there will be so many different business models flourish in this market because of this SGQR Plus, because of all this QR code interoperability. I think, again, such as scan order pay, what we have introduced with this store, for example, all of these ISVs, these tech vendors, can based on that develop more business model, make SMEs life easy, make them selling not only to the local people, but international travelers, make them feel more proud to be here. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Cherry. Bhavna, you have the last word.
That's great. So I'll summarize for everybody. My crystal ball says SGQR plus 1 will really accelerate QR payments domestically, where we will see a lot of new business models and revenue streams coming in, which Jeremy already mentioned about. Second, will probably consolidate all the cross-border across ASEAN, which Cherry said. We will be using that when we'll travel across ASEAN, which will be very important. And third is, it will be one of the few rare industry-led solutions which will be viable and sustainable, and everybody will look up to this solution to learn more from it.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you so much, Bhavna, and thank you all to our speakers. But now, audience, this is your time, because we'll have a giveaway. Could I have the giveaway slide, please? So this is a giveaway. Please head over to the Liquid booth. I'll just stand up now, and Jeremy will also stand up because it's his booth. The Liquid booth is just right over there. So from 2:30 onwards, we will be giving out 250 goodie bags with gifts from our sponsors here. So do head over to Liquid booth. You can try the Snap app. You can try SGQR Plus, right? And Jeremy and his team will be giving out the goodie bags there. So, just take a photo of this and show it to the crew there, and then you'll receive it. But now there will be 5 lucky people who will also receive a all-access delegate pass to next year's SFF worth $1,000. May I invite Lawrence, please, as well as the NETS crew, and may I invite also all the other panelists to join us so that Lawrence will pick the lucky 5 winners for next year's Singapore FinTech Festival. We're all about coming back for more, and the 5 lucky winners are, you have it here. So these winners will be contacted by email, and we certainly hope to see not just these winners, but all of you back next year at the SFF. Thank you so much for your attention. Please give it up for our QR Plus panelists. Thank you.